You're watching Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Muscle Garage is proudly brought to you by Teng Tools in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, end of an era. We farewell HSV's enhanced Aussie Commodores with the HSV Owners Club. Hot rods and horsepower at the Royals Rumble in Pirongia. And Low and Slow is the name of the game at Bad Penny Classic and Custom Services. But first up, the good folk at Maguire's are getting us underway, sending us to Whakatane to catch up with prolific Model A builder Mr. Neil Surtees.
Cars are kind of neat to make. Like there's things like boats you can make and all that sort of stuff, but a boat doesn't take long to build, you know. It's kind of a neat little buzz while you're going through it. But a car's kind of like a journey, and it fills the day in. What else am I going to do?
If you've spent a bit of time on the water, the name Surtees will be a familiar one. Neil, a welder boilermaker by trade, made his mark in the boating world applying an innovative rethink to the long-standing traditional design. Stepping off the shop floor and into a shareholder role, Neil has made the time to apply that same school of thought to land-based transport. Ford's Model A mostly.
I've always made things. When I was a kid, I was making things and never had any money, so I had to make it. Always been interested in cars. I was cutting cars up during my apprenticeship, so welding up exhaust headers for mates and stuff and all that kind of thing. When I had my boat business, I liked cars and sort of wanted one, but I didn't have any time. And then when I sold my business, I got straight into it and haven't really looked back. I'm not really a trend follower, I suppose. I kind of like mixing it up a bit. I quite like being creative, getting outside the old circle a bit and giving it a go. Sometimes it doesn't work, many times it doesn't, but sometimes it does work. And when it does work, it's quite rewarding. I don't do a lot of reading because I'm not a flash reader, but I look at a lot of pictures, and probably by not reading, I'm not getting polluted, you might say, or tainted. And probably that's one of the reasons why I just do what I think's right. I'm definitely getting better at it, more patient, I think. At the start, I was in a mad hurry and did everything in 5 minutes, but I'm sort of slowing down a bit now and smelling the roses. By doing that, you're kind of getting a bit more refined. Less is more sometimes, and I like trying to make something that looks real simple and easy, but in actual fact, it was quite complicated and hard. But it's always a challenge, and I like challenges. To build something pretty basic, I've kind of been there, done that, and I suppose now my goals are to build bigger and better things, I suppose, but I've sort of set a bit of a benchmark, and it's going to be a hard one to follow, but I'll give it a shot.
That benchmark would be this 1930 Model A Tudor. Still on run-in miles, the Ford is powered by a Pontiac 389 and features a fit and finish far beyond that of Henry's factory circa 1930. Lots of individual touches too, ones you can see, but a heat you can't.
It's on some 32 rails that I brought off Squeak a long time ago, and then I cut a bit off the top of them, 2 inches off the top of them, cut the back off, cut the tails, like the fronts off them, and then I shifted the rails in. Looking at the car, it looks like it's channeled, but it's not actually channeled, but it gives that illusion of channeled. Model A's without fenders, I feel, look a little bit back heavy. They look heavy in the arse, so I cut 4 inches out of the back of the car and shortened it. And then by doing that, the roof didn't look right, so then had to lower the roof. Radius the back corner, because they look sort of square with the rest of the curves on the car. Yeah, it just sort of went on, and then I wheeled it outside, and I was sitting there having a beer, looking at it, thinking something doesn't quite look right. So then I went and recut the back a little bit and tilted it all forward, and then it looked right, then I was happy. But generally, if I'm not happy, I've got to do something about it. Otherwise, you've got to live with it. So you've got to make a choice. You know, are you happy with something that doesn't look right, or you want to take the extra step and get it looking right? So many neat cars out there, but they all look the same. And let's face it, you know, you go buy a 32 chassis and you sort of kit set a car together. I like to start from scratch. The chassis bit I enjoy probably the most. I'm not a panel beater, but hell, I'll give it a go. And the more I do, the better I get. But it's all about getting your head in the right gear. And if you get your head into the right gear and just think of it as little proportions of a car, not one big whole project, you'll surprise yourself what you can do. If somebody else doesn't like my car, it doesn't worry me, it's not their car. As long as I like it, I'm happy. And if my young fella likes it, that's twice as good. But I say to people when they're building cars is, it's your car, build it how you want it. There's a whole lot of people out there that'll tell you how to build their car, but it's not their car.
Where to next? A betting man would point out, with Roadster, Coupe and Tudor boxes ticked, there's still a couple of holes in Neil's Model A lineup. Like you, we'll just have to wait and see, but if history tells us anything, we probably won't be left hanging too long.
Yeah, I don't switch off very often. Go to bed to sleep, but I don't sleep kind of thing. Yeah, I'm always like planning the next day all night. And then I get out here and I do everything completely the opposite, more than likely, but it's just how it goes, I suppose. I've just got a brain that won't stop.
And thanks to Maguire's, your ride can look sharp too. Stay tuned to find out how you can win big a little later in the show. Right, thanks to our mates at Mount Shop, it's time to raid some sheds. This week, we stop by a new workshop in Hamilton, Bad Penny Classic and Custom Services.
We are a classic and custom shop. We'll cater for any car, classic, custom, hot rod, bomb, lowrider. Anything through from 20s to whenever, basically. And whatever the customer needs done, we'll try and cater for their needs. Honestly, I don't know. There's just something about old cars. They're just cool. For me, it's just a passion. I just love them, you know. I was born into it, so continue with it. Yeah, every day is different. I mean, we don't get the same car coming through day after day. We've got a real good variety of stuff coming through. You know, we've got everything from your 30s cars, whether it be hot rod, bombs, whatever, right through to Mustangs and even some later model Japanese stuff. It's not the same thing that we just did last week or last year, you know. Every job we do is going to be different. We can better ourselves, further our skills as well, you know. We're not repeating ourselves over and over again. We try and push things that are a little bit different and try and get people interested in things that are a little bit different. And I think the way we style cars too, I think opening people's minds up and trying to get them out of the little rut, I suppose you could say, that a lot of people are in, open them up to other styles of cars and that are out there, I think is a big part of what we're trying to do.
One of those styles which Bad Penny have quickly carved out a reputation for is the lowrider. The canvas might be a bit different, but there's a lot more in common with building a traditionally styled hot rod or custom than you might think. These are cars built to an era with obsessive attention to the details. In Justin's case, the Impala rolling stock points to a 70s style. Or Simon's Bomb, a name given to the earlier, curvier body shapes, often laden with accessories. Either way, stock ride height isn't going to cut it.
People, I think they appreciate it, you know. Low, slow, it's something different. It's not your typical hot rod, T-bucket, roadster, whatever. It's something they don't expect it, you know. It's cruising, they're loud with our straight pipes and everything. Obviously the suspensions, hydraulic and airbags, yeah, people love that sort of stuff. So the scene's growing and that's where things are starting to head. People are getting more into it. Simon's 37 started a few years back, stock. He took it to a crowd in Auckland. They started the suspension upgrades, Holden front and rear ends in it. After a period of time, it sort of became a stalled project, basically. That's where I sort of had the opportunity to carry on with it for them. Finished off with a heap of chassis work on it. It's had a full notch, hydraulic suspension fitted, front and rear. These had the 235 rebuilt, dressed up, twin carbs. Done a massive amount of work on the floor to get up over the notch. Basically, it sits with the current wheel tyre combo about an inch off the ground. So that'll be one of the top bombs in New Zealand when it is finished. You know, very traditional in the respect it's running a 6, straight pipes. People love to hate them. It's going to be a real cool car. Yeah, I really do wish it was mine, actually, at the end of the day. Airbags is where a lot of people, that's their go-to thing these days. Hydraulic suspension still has a bit of a stigma around it. And I'd like to work with, the powers that be to help try and remove that stigma and get people to realise that it's not all just about busting out a big 3-wheel or trying to get the front wheels off the ground, or and generally, as people say, wreck a car. In my opinion, if it's set up right, it'll drive just as good as any other car any day of the week, and you'd never know it had hydraulic suspension in if nobody told you. I'm trying to get rid of that stigma and just make people realise that, hey, airbags aren't the only option. Hydraulics are a good alternative. We take pride in what we do, and being able to take somebody's car, give them exactly what they want, and have them walk away happy as Larry, wanting to drive their car is the main thing. If they want to drive it, never want to get out of it, then obviously we've done our job right. Whether I'm doing 100k an hour, 100 mile an hour, they're all fun. It's all good.
You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage, proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. The Royals Rumble is a spring get-together put on by the Royals Car Club. Held at Pirongia's Clydesdales and Coach House Cafe, there's usually a few types of horsepower on show, and this year the cars were joined by a heavy horseshoeing competition. The Rumble is unashamedly old school. Show up with your chrome 22s and a billet collection Boyd would be proud of, and you'll politely be shown to the general car park. The main event is a relaxed setting of traditionally styled and period hot rods, customs, or even vintage cars and bikes. Oldsmobile were well represented this year, with Tony and Vanessa's 51 now joined by this 49, looking pretty much a custom straight from the GM factory, while the nailhead-powered 36 Coupe of Rotorua's Colin Prowse was never short of attention all day. Right, next up, the times they are a-changin', and our mates at Niedercar sent us to Auckland to join the HSV Owners Club as we farewell an Aussie legend. 2017 marks the end of HSV as we know it. In October, the Australian manufacturer Holden shut up shop on its local production. And while the HSV brand will live on, the only certainty is that things will be different. While the Holden dealer team partnership with legendary wheelman Peter Brock would see a number of high-performance models available through supporting dealers earlier, it wasn't until Holden joined forces with Tom Walkinshaw in the late 80s that the Holden Special Vehicles platform was born. Ever since, HSV has rolled out muscled-up cousins of the Commodore range, and with each release, a bump in tech and performance. Right up to here, in fact, the last of the breed. We don't know what's in HSV's future, but what we do know is that its past is now that much more special. But you don't need to tell this lot that twice.
I guess it's taking Holden, which has been a brand that's been reasonably well known this side of the world, and putting some excitement into it. It's not your everyday Commodore or your everyday car that's been used by families all over all over New Zealand for so many years. They're supercharged, or they're in radical colours.
There's a lot of muscle cars all over the world, but in really big volumes. What I really like about particularly the earlier HSVs is really small editions, be 50 of these, all one colour, and then that was it. They're not mass produced. So it's really the rarity value, I guess, for me. But hey, you just can't go past a V8 that sounds like that, and it's just a lot of fun to drive.
The S in HSV stands for special, so Holden Special Vehicles. And the vehicles are different from your ordinary car. They've got more specs, more features, a more visceral driving experience. They're for people that, a car isn't just to get from A to B. A car is a statement, and it's a way of expressing your personality, and I guess that's what our owners appreciate, is the cars are special, they are different, they're a lot more than just your garden variety A to B vehicle. HSV as a brand has been going for 30 years in Australia and New Zealand. We've produced over 85,000 vehicles in Australia. There's in excess of 8,000 been sold in New Zealand. But going right back to when they're built, we've got an amazing team of passionate designers and engineers in Australia that build cool cars. And that's really where it all starts.
HSV's first offering certainly made their presence known. The VL-based SS Group A SV, or Walkinshaw, came equipped with Hollywood-level cosmetic enhancement, and even today, you'll find many custom builds using the model as inspiration. In today's lineup, our earliest example is Julian's VP Club Sport.
I used to work at Schofield's in the mid-90s, and I guess I watched a lot of these cars coming off the trucks brand new, and probably fell in love with a few of them then. I was lucky enough to get a few as company cars for a few years there, and I probably made a list of 5 cars I wanted to get when they got down to my budget. So I was lucky enough to get the Club Sport behind me. And I've also got an SV 5000 as well at the moment, so that's 2 of the 5, so still looking for the rest. There's only 50 built. The GTS and this Club Sport basically got all the leftover gear from the VNSS Group A. So it's the last of the homologation sort of specials for racing. It's also, I believe, still the only HSV that has its build number on the outside of the car. So this one's number 50 of 50. So it's got that on the boot there. So again, it just adds a little bit of collectability for me. Pretty exciting cars. I see them definitely as an investment as well. I don't really understand shares or art or any of that sort of stuff, so I figure if you can have an investment and have something that's fun and cool to drive, and something that's a bit rare that not too many other people have, that's pretty good for me.
A few years newer and definitely yellower is Jared's VS GTSR. Subtlety wasn't high on the list of priorities here, but the GTSR wasn't just a big talker. It stroked 5.7 litre, pushing out 215 kilowatts through a 6-speed manual. Good numbers for 1996. A very rare car, and impressively, only has a little over 20,000 on the clock.
Some guys have Lambos on the wall. I had a GTSR and thought they were pretty wicked. So yeah, it's certainly you either like it or you hate it. It's one of those cars that people kind of go, oh, it's the ugliest colour I've ever seen, or that interior is horrible. But for the purist or the the HSV enthusiast, it's it's a pretty cool car. Yeah. I think it's just something special. I think you've got to have a real passion for for a marque, and whether it's Falcon with FPV or Mercedes with AMG, this is the pinnacle of Holden and HSV, and I guess it's a pretty exclusive club depending on what marque you have and what model. They produced 85 of the VS GTSR. 10 came to New Zealand. There's less than 4 or 5 of them here in the country now, and I guess it's just that special feeling of having something exclusive and something that's quite unique.
Fast forward into more recent times where modern tech and efficiency has seen HSV's power figures skyrocket, ably supported by modern chassis and suspension design. If 300 kilowatts is handy, 400 plus is better. And seeing the Commodore platform HSVs off with a bang is this car right here, the VF GTSR W1. Perhaps the ultimate HSV, the W1 packs a supercharged 6.2 litre LS9, punching out a staggering 474 kilowatts.
We've got an amazing owner group. They're very loyal, very passionate about the vehicles. Whenever there's something new come out, they're always very keen to know about it. The GTSR W1, our newest supercar, they were sold out. All 20 of them for New Zealand were sold out basically the day they got announced.
Looking ahead would suggest HSV will have less to work with in future, at least as far as cylinders go anyway. But the death of Holden's production line has done little to extinguish the HSV Owners Club love of the marque. In fact, if anything, it's made the cars that little bit more special.
Absolutely, for sure. And we've seen the market in Australia and stuff move as well. So traditionally those early sort of HSVs are starting to command a much bigger price in Australia now. And look, what HSV I guess brings next will be pretty tricky. The latest Commodores are 2-litre front wheel drive and a V6 option, so it's going to be really interesting to see, I guess, where HSV take the brand and that. But it certainly has made, I guess, the V8 purists of HSV now a little bit more excited about the investment, I guess, in those cars and the potential of where the value of those and that marque goes.
Got to drive one if you get the chance. Whether it's old ones or the new ones, they're all pretty exciting.
Every week, we're giving our viewers the chance to win a Teng Tools and Maguire's gift pack worth $250. Simply go to themotorhood.com and follow the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. Plus, by entering our weekly draws, at the end of the series, one lucky viewer will win a Teng Tools 460-piece automotive toolkit, a complete Maguire's car care pack, and a $500 Mount Shop voucher. The total value of this grand prize is almost $5,000. Good luck, everyone. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car, the easy way to research and buy cars online.